Contact Protocol. The Tyrixian Dominion had conquered 17 star systems in the last galactic cycle. Their warships, sleek and gleaming with iridescent metal harvested from exotic gas giants, were renowned across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. Commander Nix Velix stood on the command bridge of the inexorable Mandate, the flagship of the Dominion's 5th expansion fleet. His 4 silver eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display of the unremarkable yellow star and its 3rd planet, a mostly blue world with patchy green and brown landmasses. Biological assessment. Velix asked, his voice carrying the distinctive dual-tone harmonic of high-ranking Tyrixian officers. Science Director Zrel tapped her neural interface, sending data streams to the main display. Dominant species appears to be carbon-based bipeds. They've achieved rudimentary spaceflight, but remain confined to their own system. Primitive fission and fusion energy. No evidence of quantum communications or gravitational manipulation technology. Another easy acquisition. Sub-Commander Terrace remarked from his station. The Council will be pleased. Velix wasn't so certain. Something about the transmission patterns from the planet bothered him. They were too organized, too deliberate. Most pre-FTL civilizations broadcast chaotically, their signals a jumbled mess of entertainment, data, and communications. These humans, as they called themselves, seemed to be controlling their electromagnetic footprint. Prepare a standard first contact package, Velix ordered. Diplomatic protocols, cultural exchange data, and, he paused, mandibles clicking together in what his crew recognized as amusement. The standard resource allocation demands. The Tyrixian Dominion's expansion strategy was elegantly efficient. Contact, impress, demand, and if necessary, conquer. Most species capitulated after witnessing the Dominion's technological superiority. Those that resisted rarely survived the first orbital bombardment. Deploy the contact vessel, Velix commanded. Let's introduce ourselves to these humans. 3 orbital cycles later, Commander Velix found himself questioning the intelligence reports on humanity. The contact vessel had been escorted to a massive orbital platform the humans called Unity Station. Despite predictions that humans would be overwhelmed by Tyrixian technology, they had appeared remarkably unfazed. Now seated across from the human delegation in a surprisingly comfortable chamber designed to accommodate multiple species, Velix felt a growing unease. To summarize our position, said the human female who had introduced herself as Director Ilara Reyes of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, we appreciate the Tyrixian Dominion's interest in establishing relations, but we must decline your offer of protection and resource allocation. Velix's secondary respiratory chamber expanded in irritation. Director Reyes, perhaps I haven't made our position clear. The Dominion is not offering protection. We are informing you that your solar system now falls within our sphere of influence. Your planet will provide resources according to our quota system, and in return, you will receive technological advancements deemed appropriate for your development level. A male human with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. Admiral Chen, if Velix recalled correctly, leaned forward slightly. And if we refuse? That would be unfortunate, Velix replied, his voice cooling to the temperature of deep space. The 5th expansion fleet consists of 37 capital ships and over 200 support vessels. Your planet has no defenses against such a force. The humans exchanged glances. Director Rice tapped something on the table before her. Commander Velix, we hope to avoid this type of discussion, but it seems necessary to clarify Earth's position. Admiral Chen, would you please show our guests the relevant data? The Admiral activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Velix expected to see Earth's primitive defense systems, orbital satellites, perhaps some rudimentary energy weapons. Instead, the display showed a 3-dimensional map of space extending well beyond Earth's solar system. What is this? Velix demanded. This, Admiral Chen said calmly, is human-controlled space. The display highlighted hundreds of star systems in a blue glow, forming a sphere approximately 200 light-years in diameter with Earth not at the center, but near the edge. Impossible, breathed Science Director Zrel. Our scans detected no evidence of interstellar travel, no quantum communications, no FTL signatures. Because we don't use quantum communications or traditional FTL methods, Chen replied. Humanity developed gravitational corridor technology 3 centuries ago. We don't travel through space. We fold it. As if on cue, Velix's neural implant buzzed with an urgent communication from the inexorable mandate. Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Hundreds of objects decloaking in a defensive formation around Earth and our position. The holographic display shifted to real-time sensor data. Velix felt his primary heart stutter as vessels appeared seemingly from nowhere. Not small defense crafts, but massive ships with sleek, organic lines that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The largest dwarfed the inexorable mandate by at least a factor of 3. Your scans also missed our phase shift technology. Admiral Chen continued conversationally. These ships were here when you arrived, Commander. They've been watching your fleet since you entered the system. Velix fought to maintain his composure. A convincing illusion, Admiral. But the Dominion has encountered holographic defenses before. Director Reyes smiled thinly. This is no illusion, Commander. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. She made a small gesture, and one of the human vessels, a relatively small craft only about 1 kilometer in length, moved impossibly fast, appearing alongside the Tyrixian contact ship in less than a second. No acceleration, no energy signature. It simply was at one position, and then it was at another. Gravitational corridor manipulation, Chen explained. Small-scale application, useful for tactical positioning. Velix's mind raced. If the humans could fold space on that scale, with that precision. The 5th Expansion Fleet is currently surrounded by 37 capital ships of the Earth Defense Force, Chen continued, each carrying weapon systems that can penetrate your shields without difficulty. Additionally, we have deployed 700 autonomous defense platforms throughout this system. Why the deception? Velix demanded. Why appear primitive when you clearly possess advanced technology? Director Rice clasped her hands on the table. Earth is the cradle of humanity, Commander Velix, but not our only home. We maintain a low technological profile here deliberately. It helps us evaluate the intentions of species we encounter. And we've been encountering many. Added a third human, an older male with intricate markings on his dark skin, who had been introduced as cultural attaché Nkosi. The Dominion isn't the first expansionist empire to discover Earth and assume it would be easy prey. The others, Velix asked, dreading the answer. No longer expanding, Nkosi replied simply. For the first time in his distinguished career, Commander Nix Velix found himself completely outmaneuvered. The Dominion protocols were clear about first contact scenarios, but there was nothing in the manuals about a pre-FTL civilization suddenly revealing itself to be a major interstellar power. It seems, Velix said carefully, that the Dominion's intelligence on humanity was severely flawed. I suggest we restart these negotiations with a more accurate understanding of our relative positions. Director Reyes nodded. We would welcome that, Commander. Humanity has no desire for conflict with the Tyrixian Dominion. We value peaceful coexistence and cultural exchange, but we will not be subjugated or exploited. And to ensure clarity, Admiral Chen added, we are transmitting updated navigational hazard warnings to your vessels. Human space is clearly marked. The Dominion would be wise to respect these boundaries. Velix received the data packet through his neural interface. The map showed the vast territory claimed by humanity, including dozens of systems the Dominion had marked for future expansion. The strategic implications were staggering. I must consult with the Dominion Council, Velix said, struggling to keep his voice even. This revelation requires reconsideration of our approach. Of course, Director Reyes replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. We understand completely. In the meantime, your fleet is welcome to remain in its current position, under observation, naturally. As Velix prepared to return to his ship, Admiral Chen approached him privately. Commander, a word of advice. When you report to your council, emphasize that humanity seeks peaceful coexistence. Some of my colleagues advocated for a more decisive first impression after analyzing your fleet's weapons capabilities. Meaning? Velix asked. Meaning there was discussion about whether to allow your fleet to return at all, Chen said quietly. Fortunately, those advocating diplomacy prevailed. This time, Velix felt a cold sensation in all four of his hearts. He had led countless first contact missions, subjugated dozens of worlds, and never once felt fear. Until now, as he boarded his shuttle, he realized with crystal clarity that the Tyrixian Dominion had made perhaps the greatest miscalculation in its 1,000-year history. They had mistaken humanity's cradle for its grave. Shattered assumptions. The Dominion Council chamber fell into stunned silence as Commander Velix completed his report. The 9 High Counselors, each representing a founding species of the Tyrixian Dominion, stared at the holographic display showing the human vessels and the territorial map humanity had provided. Preposterous, declared Counselor Mox, the massive Ergolan representative whose species had been among the first to join the Dominion. These must be fabrications. Our intelligence network would have detected a civilization of this scale. High Counselor Ziv, the eldest Tyrixian present and head of the council, raised a gnarled hand for silence. Commander Velix, in your assessment, are these human claims genuine? Velix had spent the journey back to Dominion space replaying every moment of the encounter, analyzing every scan and data point. High Counselor, I believe they are. Our sensors confirmed the physical presence of their vessels, though we could not penetrate their defensive systems for detailed analysis. Their gravitational manipulation technology appears to be centuries beyond our own capabilities. One planet, spat Counselor Dravex of the militant Ket Imperium. One insignificant world that our scouts classified as pre-FTL. How could we miss an interstellar civilization spanning hundreds of systems? Director of Intelligence Laris, who had been summoned to the emergency council session, looked distinctly uncomfortable. Counselors, we have reviewed our surveillance protocols. The human homeworld showed all expected markers of a developing civilization. Limited orbital presence, internal conflicts, resource inefficiency, all consistent with pre-unification societies. Deliberate misdirection, Velix interjected. The humans admitted as much. They maintain Earth as a facade, a honeypot to evaluate the intentions of species who discover them. The implications settled heavily on the Council. The Dominion's expansion strategy depended on accurate intelligence and the ability to overwhelm resistance quickly. If humans could hide their true capabilities so effectively, how many other potential threats remained undetected? We should mobilize the combined fleet, Counselor Dravex declared. Strike before they can consolidate their position. High Counselor Ziv's compound eyes narrowed. And if their territorial claims are accurate, if they truly command the forces Commander Velix witnessed, we would be committing our military to a conflict with an unknown power that may well exceed our capabilities. There is another concern, Velix added. The humans detected our presence long before we detected theirs. They observed our approach, analyzed our capabilities, and chose when to reveal themselves. This suggests their sensor technology far surpasses our own. A surprise attack may not be possible. Counselor Mox rumbled in agitation. So we simply accept their territorial claims, abandon our expansion plans in that sector. The Dominion does not retreat. The Dominion also does not rush blindly into potential annihilation, countered Ziv. Commander Velix, you said the humans expressed willingness for diplomatic relations. Yes, High Counselor. They emphasized peaceful coexistence, provided their sovereignty is respected. After hours of heated debate, the Council reached a decision. They would send a formal diplomatic mission to Earth, while secretly dispatching the 17th Stealth Fleet to probe the edges of claimed human territory and assess their true military capabilities. 2 weeks later, the Dominion diplomatic vessel Reason Discourse arrived at Unity Station with Velix leading the delegation. The ship was escorted by a small human vessel that had simply appeared alongside them at the edge of the solar system, another casual demonstration of their space-folding technology. Director Rice and Admiral Chen met them in the same chamber as before, though the delegation now included several new human representatives. "Commander Velix, welcome back," Rice greeted him. "I understand your council wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations." "Indeed, Director," Velix replied. "The Dominion recognizes humanity as a sovereign power and seeks peaceful cooperation." "Excellent," she responded with a smile that seemed genuinely warm. "Allow me to introduce Dr. Marcus Okafor, our Chief Scientific Liaison, who will be explaining some of humanity's history and capabilities to provide context for our discussions." Dr. Okafor, a tall human with intricate patterns of illuminated circuitry visible beneath his dark skin, activated a holographic display. "The condensed version," he began, "is that humanity achieved unified planetary government approximately 300 years ago, following a period of conflict and environmental crisis. Rather than expanding outward immediately, we focused on developing sustainable technologies and exploring alternative physics models." The display showed the evolution of human spacecraft, from primitive chemical rockets to increasingly sophisticated designs. The breakthrough came with gravitational manifold theory, which allowed us to create corridors through space-time rather than traveling through conventional space. This permitted rapid expansion without the telltale signatures of traditional FTL methods. Velix noticed that Science Director Zrel was recording every word, her neural implants buzzing with activity. The implications for Dominion science were enormous. "How many worlds have humans colonized?" she asked. "We maintain approximately 1,200 colony worlds across 314 star systems," Dr. Okafor replied. "Additionally, we have diplomatic and trade relations with 23 non-human civilizations, most of which remain unknown to the Dominion." Velix fought to conceal his shock. 23 other spacefaring civilizations outside Dominion knowledge. The intelligence failure was catastrophic. The meeting continued for hours as humans shared carefully selected information about their civilization, enough to establish their capabilities without revealing strategic vulnerabilities. Throughout the exchange, Velix couldn't shake the feeling that he was being evaluated, tested to see if the Dominion could be trusted. His suspicions were confirmed when Admiral Chen suddenly stiffened, touching a nearly invisible communication device. "Director," Chen said quietly, "we have a situation at the Rigel boundary." The atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Director Rice turned to Velix, her expression now cold and professional. "Commander, would you care to explain why a Dominion stealth fleet is currently attempting to penetrate the defensive perimeter of the Rigel system, particularly while we are engaged in peace negotiations?" Velix felt his blood freeze. The 17th Fleet's mission was classified at the highest levels. How could the humans possibly know? "I have no knowledge of such an operation," he managed, and it was technically true. He had not been briefed on the specific target or timing. "Interesting," Chen replied. "Because we've identified the fleet as the Dominion's 17th Stealth Fleet, comprising 12 Shadowed Blade-class vessels and their support craft. They're using an advanced cloaking system that, according to your databases, should be undetectable." A holographic display activated, showing real-time footage of ships that should have been invisible to all known detection methods. The Dominion vessels were surrounded by human defense platforms, caught like predators in a trap. "Your council's duplicity is disappointing but not surprising," Director Rice said. "What happens next depends on you. Commander Velix, as the ranking Dominion representative present, you have authority to order those ships to stand down." Velix knew he was cornered. "And if I cannot give such an order, then we will be forced to demonstrate why probing human space is inadvisable," Chen replied. "The choice is yours, But I should mention that we have already disabled their communication systems. They cannot call for reinforcements or report what they're seeing. With no viable alternatives, Velex authorized an emergency command override, ordering the 17th Fleet to retreat. As the Dominion ships withdrew, human vessels escorting them to the boundary, Director Rice leaned forward. "Commander, we value honesty in our diplomatic partners. This incident has damaged the potential for trust between our civilizations. However, we remain open to establishing relations based on mutual respect." "The Dominion Council will not easily accept these terms," Velex admitted. "Our civilization has expanded unchallenged for centuries." "Perhaps," said Dr. Okafor, "the Council needs a clearer understanding of the situation." The holographic display expanded to show not just Earth's solar system or the claimed human territory, but the entire galaxy. Thousands of points of light illuminated across all 4 spiral arms. "The blue markers represent human monitoring stations," Chen explained. "The green markers are allied civilizations. The red markers are potentially hostile powers we're observing." Velex stared in disbelief. The network of human influence extended throughout the galaxy, far beyond what they had initially claimed. "This is impossible," Zrel whispered. "No civilization could maintain such a presence." "Conventional thinking would agree," Dr. Okafor said. "But conventional thinking doesn't account for coexistence," Director Rice answered simply. "Recognition of boundaries, cultural and scientific exchange where mutually beneficial. The Dominion has much to offer the galactic community, Commander Velex, but not as conquerors. And if the Council rejects these terms—" Admiral Chen's expression hardened slightly. "The incident with your stealth fleet demonstrates our capabilities. We could have destroyed those ships rather than merely disabling their communications. We could have sent their wreckage back to your Council as a message. We didn't, because humanity prefers peace to conflict. But make no mistake, Commander, we will defend ourselves and our allies." The message was clear. The Tyrixian Dominion, for the first time in its history, faced a power it could neither conquer nor intimidate. 6 months later, Commander Nex Velex stood on the observation deck of the newly established Tyrixian embassy on Unity Station. Below him, Earth rotated serenely, its blue oceans and white clouds betraying nothing of the advanced civilization that had humbled the mighty Dominion. The Council had raged and threatened and planned, until human representatives had simply appeared in the Council chamber itself, bypassing all defenses with their gravitational corridor technology, to deliver a simple message: choose peace. Faced with irrefutable proof of human technological superiority, the Dominion had reluctantly signed the Treaty of Unity, recognizing human territory and establishing formal diplomatic relations. Now, as Velex watched transport ships dock at the station, carrying the first Tyrixian tourists, scholars, and merchants to visit Earth, he reflected on how thoroughly humanity had upended the galactic order. The Dominion's expansion had halted. Other powers were recalibrating their strategies, and through it all, humans maintained their curious duality. The advanced civilization hidden behind the facade of their seemingly ordinary homeworld. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" came a now familiar voice. Admiral Chen joined him at the viewport. "Indeed," Velex acknowledged. "Your world hides its secrets well." Chen smiled. "The greatest strength of humanity has always been our adaptability, Commander. We learned long ago that appearing weak when you are strong provides certain advantages. A lesson the Dominion has now learned as well," Velex noted dryly. "The universe is vast, Commander. Room enough for all of us to thrive without conquest." As they stood in companionable silence, watching the endless dance of ships around the station, Velex wondered what other secrets the galaxy might hold, and how many other primitive worlds might be watching, waiting, and judging those who discovered them. The Tyrixian Dominion had ruled through fear and superior technology for 1,000 years. It had taken humanity less than a day to shatter those assumptions forever. Sometimes, Velex reflected, the most important discoveries weren't new worlds or resources, but new perspectives. The humans had a saying that Chen had shared with him: "Don't judge a book by its cover." The Dominion would not make that mistake again.